Although, with some of my games, I would challenge the Elite Four time and time again. When you got to... I have this sort of thing where I like my Pokemon to be the most powerful they can be, so I tend to try not to stop until they have reached level 100. In which case, by that point, a lot of your Pokemon, especially if you pick a Legendary, or one that has very high stats to begin with, you can usually get through the Elite Four with 1 or 2 Pokemon. I did this with Ruby Sapphire when I got in Ruby,
Groudon?
Groudon. That's the one. Had a little bit of a brain freeze here. I got Groudon up into the late 80s, early 90s, and I was able to take the Elite Four with just that one Pokemon, which allowed me to use EXP shares on any of my lower level Pokemon, especially if they were a very low level, around level 7 or so. They would grow, 10 levels, especially when I was in with the higher level Pokemon, near with the Dragon Master and your champion. And but although in red, blue, and yellow, there were no experience shares, because the experience share is a hold item for one Pokemon, which will take, even if it's not in battle, will take half of the experience from that battle. Instead, they had the experience all, which if you only had to have it in your inventory, every Pokemon in your party would gain experience from the battle, no matter what.
They would all gain a share of it. But that would also cut the amount of experience in 6.
Yeah, because you don't get, it doesn't increase the amount of experience given out. The experience is based on that one Pokemon that you're defeating. It has a number attached to it that's based on its type, levels, power. All sorts of things are integrated in with it, and that's the only amount of experience that it is going to put out, and it's just gonna. Like Free Penguin said, it's just going to be split up 6 ways, and each one's only going to get a small part of that.
And our Bulbasaur just hit level 13, which is good. Now, Bulbasaur, I created an interesting point here earlier talking with Kiwi, and it was about difficulty in Pokemon. Now, it's a difficult thing to say that there is or is not difficulty levels in Pokemon. You cannot say that there is a official hard mode to Pokemon. You cannot, because there is no difficulty setting. It's an RPG. It really only has one setting. However, there is an innate difficulty system built into the game that starts with your choice of Pokemon. And it goes something like this. Bulbasaur is considered easy mode. And why, you might ask? It's simple, because if you really wanted to run on one Pokemon, you wouldn't have to level very high to get Bulbasaur through the first 2 gyms. Bulbasaur is a grass type, so it is effective both against Brock's rock-type Pokemon and Misty's water-type Pokemon. So you have enough of an advantage to where the rest of your team does not have to carry itself, because Bulbasaur can pick up the extra slack with its grass moves. Now, Squirtle is medium difficulty, because its water-type moves will get you through Brock fine, but it won't be super effective against Misty. It'll only be a regular effective, so you'll have to train up something else to help carry the weight of the team. Charmander is effectively Pokemon's hard mode. When you start, Charmander is at a distinct disadvantage in the first 2 gyms. Rock-type moves can kill it. Water-type moves can outright kill it.
Yeah. And ground-type moves are super effective against Fire-type Pokemon, which both of Brock's Pokemon were both Rock and Ground-type.
That's right. And so, Charmander is sort of like the hard mode, because it forces you to go straight in and build a team and level that team up to carry the weight that Charmander can't. And it's not that Charmander wouldn't carry that weight. It's physically that Charmander, with its stats and its type, cannot carry that weight, because it's just simply at too much. Oh, I don't want Pokemon. I want to go to my bag to potion my Mankey. It's just too much of a type difference. It's deadly, I would say, to put your Charmander in that situation.
Now, we got onto this topic earlier. Yeah, Three Penguins and I got into the discussion earlier, not on the computer, but about how maybe Bulbasaur was a more adequate choice for a starter Pokemon. And I said earlier in this, and some of our previous videos, where I like to go the route of Charmander, because when it evolves, I get a flying-type Pokemon. After saying that, I realized one of my, not necessarily a disadvantage, but in a sense, I had to go and level up a grass-type Pokemon, which I chose Bellsprout, but in there, Charizard is a fire-flying. Later on in the game, even before you battle the Elite Four, you can get Moltres, which is a fire-flying, which made me not be able to have one of the best grass-type Pokemon in the game, which is Bulbasaur. But I also had basically a copy Pokemon, because they were both the same types. And also, it's you can get really good Water-type Pokemon as well, because you can get a Gyarados. So it may be a more logical decision for you to go the route of Bulbasaur, so you can have a very nice grass-type Pokemon.
By the way, there's a hidden moonstone in that stone. That's a carryover from the original game. Before we go up and face this guy, I'm actually going to potion a few of my Pokemon, and I'm going to revive Mankey. I'm going to potion Pikachu, who actually kind of likes us. See how he came towards the camera a little bit to receive the potion. We're going to use the one revive we do have on Mankey, who still likes us a little bit, even though he was knocked out. And then we'll want to stay on this page. We're going to potion a couple more. Kakuna is really not going to fight, so we don't need to worry. Pidgey likes us a little bit, which is good. I try to keep good relations with all my Pokemon, and that's part of my Switch system where I use to level. The more a Pokemon is in battle with you, the more they will like you. And so, like I said, I try and switch them out and get them all to stay even level, even keel here. Level 9, level 10. Yep, Kakuna's the next one that needs to level up to 10, so we come up and this guy's going to berate us. So apparently we can't just walk by the fossils. We obviously have to choose one. We don't have a choice. Now, I'm at a loss for what to do against a Grimer, because I really don't have anything that's strong against poison types.
Types that are good against poison are ground types. Ground types are super effective. Also, psychic types. Psychic types will do a number on poison types. But if you don't have either of those, and you're just looking for a good defense against poison, I would go for a steel type. There are a few steel types in this game. Probably the most prominent being Magnemite, which is a steel electric type.
Yes.
But steel types are immune to poison. They are also very resistant to several other types. Their weaknesses being fighting type, fire type, and also ground types. But personally, I like steel types. One of my favorite steel type was from Ruby Sapphire, where Beldum, which eventually evolved into Metagross, which was a steel psychic type, very strong, and made a very strong companion against any poison types. And we see Bulbasaur is victorious.
And Kakuna has hit level 10, which means after this battle, assuming it survives, which hopefully it will, actually, we're just going to keep Bulbasaur out for now, we will see some more evolution action.
Now, I mentioned before where ground-type moves are super effective against poison types. Coughing is not a flying type, so ground types are effective. But here is the clincher. Koffing has a unique ability called Levitate, which makes ground-type moves miss, which would mean that the only way to be super effective against this Poison type would be to have a Psychic Pokemon. There may be another weakness of Poison that I am missing, but Ground and Psychic are the two that I typically will use.